Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Australia Weather Pulse, bringing you the latest update on the heavy rainfall sweeping across Queensland this afternoon. Much of the state is under wet conditions, with significant rainfall now reaching the southern and southeastern areas. We're entering a major flooding event, and more rain is expected over the next couple of days. Tomorrow could see particularly intense rainfall along the central Queensland coast. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to stay up to date. Right now, the focus is on tropical low 29U, positioned east of Mount Isa in northwestern Queensland. This system has a central pressure of 998 millibars and is generating localized heavy rainfall. While it's not a large system, the intensity of rain near its center is enough to trigger significant flooding in northwestern Queensland as it progresses southeast throughout the day. Additional moisture is streaming in from the Coral Sea, contributing to rainfall across central Queensland. A strong surface trough combined with an upper-level trough is intensifying the rain, particularly in parts of central and southeastern Queensland. Currently, areas inland and further north are experiencing the heaviest rainfall, while Brisbane has already received a substantial amount. Radar and wind maps show convergence of three key weather drivers around Roma and Toowoomba, where rainfall remains intense. A southeasterly flow over the southern trough is gradually pushing rain back north, meaning the heaviest showers are staying inland and weakening before reaching Brisbane's CBD. Localized downpours are now developing near Rockhampton, moving toward Gladstone, with rainfall likely reaching Bundaberg shortly. Central Queensland can expect persistent moderate to heavy rain throughout the day. Forecast models indicate rainfall will continue through central Queensland today, with significant accumulations expected in Rockhampton, Gladstone, Bundaberg, and surrounding areas. The southeastern corner will see moderate rainfall tapering off near Brisbane's northern suburbs, though the southeasterly flow will maintain lighter rain in the city. As the surface low strengthens tonight, rainfall will continue in Brisbane, but with reduced intensity. Meanwhile, heavy rain will persist further north along the trough toward the Wide Bay, Fraser Coast, and Sunshine Coast, particularly impacting Gympie and surrounding hinterland regions. Stay tuned, because in the next update, we'll break down flood risks, river levels, and how these systems will interact over the coming 48 hours. Conditions are evolving rapidly, and tomorrow's forecast could bring more challenges for coastal and inland areas. Looking ahead, the forecast shows that rainfall will continue to dominate much of central Queensland through tonight and into tomorrow morning. The surface low is expected to strengthen, particularly affecting areas north of Brisbane, such as the Sunshine Coast hinterland, the Wide Bay region, and parts of the Fraser Coast. Heavy rain accumulations are likely, with some isolated areas receiving intense downpours that could trigger flash flooding. While Brisbane itself will see lighter rainfall, the north and inland communities are at higher risk. Tomorrow brings an additional complication: the remnants of a second tropical low moving down from northwestern Queensland toward Rockhampton. This system is expected to track offshore along the Capricorn Coast, bringing another surge of heavy rainfall later in the day. At this stage, the forecast indicates that these two low-pressure systems will mostly avoid overlapping, but there is potential for localized areas, particularly around Hervey Bay and Bundaberg, to experience intensified rainfall if the systems converge more than expected. Central Queensland coastal towns such as Rockhampton, Gladstone, and Bundaberg are likely to see significant rainfall totals over the next 48 hours. Gladstone and Bundaberg could record up to 200 millimeters, while other areas farther north or south may see moderate accumulations. Despite this, Brisbane and the Gold Coast are expected to remain largely unaffected by the most intense rainfall, though isolated showers will continue through tomorrow morning. The evolving weather pattern is creating heightened flood risks in multiple catchments. Areas along the Mary River, Burnett River, and surrounding inland communities are already experiencing rising water levels, with some minor to moderate flooding reported. In the Roma and Toowoomba regions, watercourses such as Muga Muga Creek have seen significant flows, reaching nearly 2 meters in depth. Flash flooding remains a real concern, particularly for low-lying areas, roads, and parks, as well as local infrastructure in central and southeastern Queensland. Wind threats are also developing along the Queensland coast. Sustained winds around 50 km/h are expected near the low-pressure centers, with gusts potentially reaching 100–110 km/h offshore. These conditions may produce locally destructive gusts, particularly along the Capricorn and Fraser coasts, posing risks to boats, outdoor activities, and coastal communities. Stay alert over the next 48 hours as these systems continue to evolve. In the next update, we'll examine the latest rainfall accumulations, highlight specific flood warnings, and outline the areas most at risk for flash flooding and strong winds. Conditions are changing rapidly, and keeping informed is essential to stay safe during this heavy rainfall event. As we move further into the event, the focus shifts to the inland and coastal regions that are expected to receive the heaviest rainfall over the next 24 to 36 hours. Central Queensland is under particular threat, with towns such as Rockhampton, Gladstone, Bundaberg, and surrounding communities likely to record substantial rainfall accumulations. Some isolated areas could see totals exceeding 200 millimeters, creating conditions for flash flooding in low-lying regions, roads, and local infrastructure. While Brisbane and the Gold Coast remain relatively safe from the most severe weather, light showers may continue through the morning and early afternoon tomorrow. The interaction between the first tropical low and the second system coming from northwestern Queensland will be key in determining the intensity and distribution of rainfall. While forecasts suggest the two lows won't fully overlap, small deviations in their tracks could lead to extreme rainfall in localized areas. For example, if the first low moves slightly further north and the second drifts slightly south, regions like Hervey Bay and Bundaberg could experience a more severe rainfall event than currently expected. It's essential for residents in these areas to stay vigilant and monitor updates closely. Flood risk remains high along multiple catchments. The Mary River and Burnett River regions are showing rapid rises, with minor to moderate flooding already reported. Further inland, areas such as Roma, Toowoomba, and the surrounding regions are experiencing significant river flows. Muga Muga Creek near Roma is now nearly 2 meters deep, highlighting the potential for flash flooding in the coming hours. Rainfall totals of 100 to 150 millimeters could trigger localized flooding even where rivers are not yet at capacity. Wind threats continue to develop, particularly near the centers of the low-pressure systems. Sustained winds of 50 km/h are expected, with gusts reaching 100–110 km/h along the Capricorn and Fraser coasts. These conditions create hazardous scenarios for anyone on the water and increase the risk of damage to structures and vegetation along affected coastal areas. Looking at the broader picture, nearly 20% of Queensland's land area is currently experiencing rainfall, with heavy showers concentrated across central and southeastern regions. This dynamic weather system will continue to dominate the state for the next 48 hours, making awareness and preparedness crucial. Stay with Australia Weather Pulse, as in the next update we will provide the latest river levels, flood warnings, and detailed rainfall forecasts for both inland and coastal areas. This will help you stay informed and prepared as conditions evolve rapidly. As the weather event continues, attention turns to the ongoing flood risks and the latest rainfall accumulations across Queensland. Central and coastal regions, including Rockhampton, Gladstone, Bundaberg, and the Wide Bay area, are seeing continued heavy rainfall. Localized totals could reach up to 300 millimeters in some spots, creating significant flash flooding potential, especially in low-lying communities, roads, and parks. Inland areas such as Roma, Toowoomba, and surrounding regions continue to experience substantial river flows, with Muga Muga Creek near Roma approaching 2 meters in depth. These conditions emphasize the need for vigilance in both inland and coastal communities. Further north, the remnants of the second low-pressure system are tracking down toward the Capricorn Coast. This will bring another round of heavy rain tomorrow afternoon and evening. Fortunately, forecasts indicate that these systems will mostly remain separate, reducing the risk of extreme overlapping rainfall. However, residents in Hervey Bay, Bundaberg, and adjacent areas should monitor conditions closely, as small changes in the system's tracks could lead to more significant rainfall than expected. Brisbane and the Gold Coast are largely spared from severe conditions, though isolated showers may continue intermittently. Southeasterly winds will continue to influence the rainfall distribution, keeping the heaviest showers inland and preventing widespread impacts in major metropolitan areas. Meanwhile, rainfall and wind threats persist along the central Queensland coast, with gusts near the low-pressure centers potentially reaching 110 km/h. This creates hazardous conditions for marine activities, coastal infrastructure, and exposed areas. In summary, Queensland remains under a dynamic weather pattern with multiple flood warnings in effect across central and southeastern regions. Flash flooding, rising river levels, and strong wind gusts are ongoing threats, particularly for inland communities and coastal towns along the Capricorn and Fraser coasts. Rainfall totals are expected to gradually ease as the systems move offshore by late Monday into Tuesday, but showers will linger in some areas into Wednesday, particularly along the Sunshine Coast and far northern Queensland. Stay informed by monitoring local flood warnings and updates from Australia Weather Pulse. Keeping up to date with river levels, rainfall totals, and wind advisories is critical to ensure safety over the next 48 hours. Conditions are changing rapidly, and preparedness is essential as this significant weather event continues to unfold. Make sure to stay connected for the next detailed update to track rainfall trends, flood risks, and wind impacts across Queensland.